Hello bachcho, let's read the question. So the question says, read the passage given below. The Battle of Chancellorsville, one of the most famous battles of the Civil War, took place in Virginia in the spring of 1863. For months, two armies had been stacked out on opposite banks of a narrow river. The Confederate troops were led perhaps by the most revered military tactician in American history, General Robert E. Lee. The Union soldiers were led by Fighting Joe Hooker. In appearance, personality, and lifestyle, these men were nearly perfect opposites. Lee, an older man in poor health with a grey beard, had a somber, measured demeanor. Hooker was a blond, strapping young man whose vanity over his appearance was but one aspect of his egotism. Whereas Lee was devout and principled, Hooker was known for his rollicking enjoyment. Despite the fact that Confederacy had won last four major battles and the Union soldiers were famished, exhausted, and demoralized, Hooker proclaimed, "My plans are perfect, and when I start to carry them out, may God have mercy on Bobby Lee, for I shall have none." Why, aside from a propensity for narcissism, was Hooker so confident? Hooker had used spies, analysts, and even hot air balloons to compile a vast amount of intelligence about Lee's army. He had discerned, for example, that Lee had only 61,000 men to Hooker's own 134,000. Buoyed by his superior numbers, Hooker covertly moved 70,000 of his men 15 miles up and across the river, and then offered them to sneak back down to position themselves behind Lee's army. In effect, Hooker had cut the Confederate soldier in front and behind. They were trapped. Satisfied with his advantage, Hooker became convinced that Lee's only option was to retreat Richmond, thus assuring a Union victory. Yet Lee, despite his disadvantage of both numbers and positions, did not retreat. Instead, he moved his troops into position to attack. Union soldiers who tried to warn Hooker that Lee was on the offensive were dismissed as cowards. Having become convinced that Lee had no choice but to retreat, Hooker began to ignore reality. When Lee's army attacked Union soldiers at 5 p.m., they were eating supper, completely unprepared for battle. They abandoned their rifles and fled as Lee's troops came shrieking out of the brush. Bayons down, against all odds, Lee won the Battle of Chancellorsville and Hooker's forces withdrew in defeat. This is a graph of casualties at the battle. Now, on the basis of your understanding of the passage, answer the following question. As used in paragraph 4, buoyed nearly means option A strengthened, option B anchored, option C floated, option D sharpened, option E heartened. तो बच्चों क्वेश्चन पे जाने से पहले लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द पैसेज इज अबाउट. तो ये पैसेज है बैटल ऑफ चांसेलरसविल के बारे में. ये बहुत फेमस बैटल है ऑफ सिविल वॉर व्हिच हैपेंड इन वर्जीनिया इन द स्प्रिंग ऑफ 1863. यहाँ पे दो आर्मीज एक दूसरे से लड़ रही थी. एक कॉन्फेडरेट ट्रूप्स जो लीड कर रहे थे जनरल रॉबर्ट ई ली, और एक यूनियन सोल्जर्स जो लीड कर रहे थे जो हुकर. अब ये दो लीडर्स की जो पर्सनालिटीज थी, अपीयरेंस थे, लाइफस्टाइल थे, बहुत डिफर करते थे, बहुत ऑपोजिट थे एक दूसरे से. उसके बाद पूरा ये बताया हुआ है कि कैसे जो हुकर जो थे वो बहुत ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट थे एंड दस ही लॉस्ट द बैटल, और कैसे ली ने अपनी सूझबूझ से अपने प्रिंसिपल्स को रखते हुए ही वन द बैटल. सो दिस इज द पैसेज क्रक्स, और दिस इज द क्रक्स ऑफ द पैसेज. यही समरी है पैसेज की पूरी. तो बच्चों ये देखा है कि एज यूज्ड इन पैराग्राफ 4, बूड मोस्टली नियरली मींस. ठीक है, बूड यहाँ पे. तो इस सेंटेंस को हम दोबारा पढ़ेंगे पूरे को कि he had discerned, for example, that Lee had only 61,000 men to Hooker's own 134,000. Buoyed by his superior numbers, Hooker covertly moved 70,000 of his men 15 miles up across the river and then ordered them to sneak back down to the position themselves behind Lee's army. तो बच्चों अगर आप मान लो फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप एक फुटबॉल मैच खेले, ठीक है, उसमें आप लोग के पास 11 लोग हैं, दूसरी टीम के पास 5 लोग हैं, तो आप लोग खुश हो जाओगे ना. आपको यार, तो 5 लोग आप एक्स्ट्राज में बैठो, हम 5 या 6 आदमी ही खेलेंगे. तो हुकर ने भी यहाँ पे यही किया. He felt very heartened, he felt very happy and he did that. और अगर मैं बूड की बात करूं, इसका जो मीनिंग होता है बच्चों, दैट इज फील हैप्पी और कॉन्फिडेंट अबाउट सिचुएशन, जो यहाँ पे हुकर को हुआ था. अबाउट द सिचुएशन. सो द करेक्ट ऑप्शन वुड बी ऑप्शन नंबर ई, which is heartened. I hope you understood it well. Best of luck.